How it spins out in Parliament so far today to discuss the implications of the enlargement of the bailout fund and the new powers that the Eurozone is keen to give it. I'm joined now by Megan Green, who is an independent economist, but she's been following the Eurozone crisis pretty closely. It is quite clear, Megan, that if the German public were asked to vote on this, they wouldn't throw this bill out. What will happen if any one of the 17 Eurozone members does not ratify this bill?
So it really depends on which country it is. If it's one of the smaller countries, then it could just step out of the EFSF and not contribute, and that wouldn't be an absolute, game ender, though it would set a dangerous precedent for other countries. But if it were to be Germany, the biggest contributor, it would be a disaster for the EFSF and for the Eurozone. You
say disaster. What would it mean? What would that mean in practice? Define disaster.
Well, if Germany refused to increase the ceiling of the EFSF to $440 billion and refused to allow the EFSF to buy government bonds directly in the markets and also to recapitalize banks, the EFSF would be completely undermined. The only reason that markets have been even mildly tamed at all is the promise that the EFSF's competencies will be expanded. And actually, events have even superseded this. And, there's now talk of a new grand plan. So if that didn't happen, the markets would go crazy. Spain and Italy would be completely shut out.
It's interesting, though. You can see why there's so much reluctance. Germany will be on the hook for potential liabilities in the event of default and meltdown of 211 billion euros. No wonder the people don't like this.
That's right. You also have to consider that German banks are the most exposed of any to Greek government debt and also to other peripheral debt. And so if Germany weren't paying for this through the EFSF, then the alternative is to let these countries default, and Germany would have to pay through its banking system anyhow. So no matter what, Germany's on the hook.
But 17 Eurozone members, ostensibly 2, are stumping up half of all the guarantees. This is France and Germany that's bearing the burden here.
Yeah, they're, for the large part, bearing the burden, and also Spain and Italy. But if Spain and Italy then need bailouts, they'll be stepping out, and the burden will be even greater for France and Germany.
Now, of course, the great discussion, certainly given what events in Washington over the weekend, the IMF, the G20, is that things have moved on. This was agreed back in July. Well, the world has changed since then. 440 billion euros sounds a lot of money, but some people don't think it's enough. Do you think it's enough?
It's absolutely not enough. The reforms to the EFSF, in terms of the competencies, are great, but it's like getting a brand new shiny fire truck and only providing 10 gallons of water to fight an entire fire. There's just not enough cash in the EFSF to recapitalize the European banking sector and also to backstop Spanish and Italian government debt should that be necessary, which I think it will be.
And let's be clear on that. That's where you think this is headed, that Italy and Spain will also need some form of emergency funding, and that the recapitalisation, asking Europe's banks to raise more money, is also inevitable.
Absolutely. In terms of Italy and Spain needing more funding, that's already happening through the ECB. But I think once these reforms to the EFSF are actually approved, the ECB will try to step out of that role and have the EFSF step in. And the EFSF will definitely need significantly more money to actually do that successfully.
Do you think that... given events in Washington, and there seemed to be a consensus, certainly the markets bounced, didn't they, on Monday? There was a sense of, the politicians finally get it, they're going to solve the crisis. Do you think that is inevitable?
That there's a market bounce? There hasn't always been a market bounce.
The politicians have got this, and you'll get consensus, and you'll get decisive, coordinated, effective action.
Yeah, absolutely not, and certainly not in the time frame necessary. I think nothing significant will probably change in the next few months. There are already divisions that are emerging between euro area member states on this grand plan that they're starting to discuss looking forward, and so I don't think it's inevitable that they'll agree on it and implement it, but it's certainly not inevitable that it will happen soon enough. I think Greece will get its next tranche of funding in October, but come December, when the Troika has to decide on the next tranche of funding for Greece, I think it will probably be denied. And at that point, if another plan is not in place, then Greece will have to default and will probably leave the Eurozone.
Megan Green, thank you very much for that. Just to be clear, the reason the EU, the IMF and the ECB aren't happy with the progress that Greece is making is because it has not hit its deficit targets and the privatisation programme that it has promised to deliver, raising ultimately 50 billion euros worth of funding. That has also fallen behind. Now, the market